This is video 4 as we upgrade the cooling on my Roush supercharged Gen 1 Raptor. And in this video, we finally get the whole solution installed and it's time to go to test. Hey guys, how do we keep it dirty off-road? Welcome back to the video series as we upgrade the cooling on my Gen 1 Raptor. In the first video, we prepped the transmission with the new pan, new thermostat, bypass, and Walter's transmission to give us a good base. Video 2 was about identifying the problem and getting a solution design. Video 3 was about the actual install. And then in this video, we finally finished the install because it required more than one shop to get this installed correctly. That's just kind of the way it goes with some of these crazy custom projects, guys. Adding a cooler to any transmission is never just as simple as just running new lines and hooking everything up. We had a few goals for the cooling that had to be met, and priority 1 was eliminating all the stock hard lines that we know to fail. Now, these are the fittings that typically come on the Gen 1 Raptor transmission. I think they're pretty common across Ford, right? It's a aluminum metal fitting, and there's actually a technical service bulletin on these because these are known to fail. It has something to do with the metal where it fatigues over time and it eventually slaps. And in fact, when HM went to remove the stock cooler, ours snapped. So my plan was to replace these lines end to end with flexible hydraulic lines and AN fittings, mainly because it's easier for me to replace those rather than have to rely on Ford for a part. So in order to do that, the first step is you need an actual adapter for the transmission. This is the transmission we got from Lethal Performance to take the stock trans fittings and the transmission and convert them to AN fittings so that we can do custom hydraulic lines. This little guy alone shipped was $170. It's pretty pricey. From here, HM ran custom hydraulic lines and followed the stock path that the stock lines actually had. The stock lines are actually hard lines. They're all metal hard lines, while the new lines were going to be more tubing, hydraulic tubing lines. So we used as much of the old mounting points as we could to route the lines so that they were out of harm's way. We don't want them anywhere near exhaust or in the engine and all that stuff. Everything was completely ran out of the way, and then it was ran up the top through the front. Kevin got a little creative here and did actually 180-degree adapters to keep the lines out of the way, but also keep them right next to each other, running down together down the middle. Now, with all the hydraulics lines done, most people would consider the project done, but it's not, because all of these upgrades that we do here are nothing if we can't channel all the airflow through the coolers correctly. Basically, the solution just won't work right. All the air could easily hit these coolers and just deflect off of them, and only the front coolers will work and nothing behind it will work. So we had to add air dams, just like the stock vehicle has, but that can deal with all the new setup on here, to force as much air as possible through the system so that the whole cooling solution works correctly and we don't see transmission cooling improve, but now the engine cooling is overheating. We had to channel all the air in, so we ended up doing some custom air dams. So unfortunately it started raining on me, so apologies guys. You're going to see an umbrella here in the rest of the video. So using some cardboard, we ended up cutting out some templates so I can cut out some air dams out of some Kydex. That's what's going to be on the left side, trying to go around the brackets. Right side was a little bit harder, driver's side was a little bit harder, and then there's still a big giant hole here, so I'm going to do that. So this is what I got to cut up next. Hopefully it works. I think I'm not going to be able to install this until all this is out. When I powder this, that's when that's going to get going. Alright, so this is the material we're going to be using. This is Kydex. It's the same stuff they make the holsters from. It's just a slightly thicker version. You can shape it with some heat, and it's relatively inexpensive, really easy to cut. Now, it says that, but if you'll notice, there's two sides to it. There's a rough side, and there's a smooth side. And we bought plenty of it. We bought it in a couple of sheets. I think these are what, 2x4? We bought about 4 sheets because I'm not only going to use this for the air dams. We're also going to use this to make liners. Wheel liners at the front.
What? This is news to me.
Shut up.
This is news to me.
Shut up.
No.
All right, let's get to it. there we are from template to plastic. We screwed up on this when we did the permanent marker on the outside. I have to figure out a way to get that off. I don't think I can use acetone for that because I might ruin it. But they're all done. I also don't think I'll be able to install these right away, but I think they came out really good. I think they're gonna work.
Maybe. They're gonna fail. They're gonna flop.
Now let's see if we can actually get them in.
Can I go to bed now? It's past my bedtime. You know, the sun's going down. I'm an old man.
Come on,
I
Dad.
have to go to bed.
Come on, let us go to sleep.
You're getting old too. You gotta take a sleep. You gotta get your nap.
Couldn't you make these out of aluminum to make it go by easily?
All right, let's get it in.
I think
Let's get them
aluminum
in.
would have sucked.
Now installing the air dams wasn't as easy. You know, plastic doesn't move around like the cardboard does, so we had to remove some of the items and partially deinstall the solution just to get the air dams in correctly. And it's a process to get it all in. You know, it wasn't easy. All right, so there they are installed. So hopefully this kind of holds it in place. It is against the thing, but it does a really good job of creating that air dam. And honestly, I don't need more than this, right? This right here is about enough to force air in there. It covers the big gap. And then on this side, we have the air dam there. You guys can kind of see it all the way down here. And then I added this little piece right here just as extra because I wanted a little bit more, right? And the idea, I mean, this isn't going to do much. This right here is what's going to do the most because, again, the idea is to force air into the cooler. And then another thing I did is I went ahead and relocated the horn because I didn't like how it was sitting there before, and it sounded funky. It sounded like really funky because the two horns have to be facing each other, and if they're not, it doesn't sound right. So I'm hoping this sounds right, and let's give it a try. There it is. Now it sounds correct. Because the sound waves have to bounce off of each other. I still don't like that position. I think at some point I may end up relocating that somewhere else, which that's going to be interesting because of this harness right here. I have to split that for one for the temperature sensor, leave that here, and then put the other harness somewhere else. But overall, really happy. I think it came out great. Now time to go test. So now that the whole solution was ready to go, we needed to test it. So I put together a run to go through some of my favorite trails in the Mojave. We start off by going up the Cajon Pass, which can, you know, definitely cause the temperatures to rise. And right off the bat, we were seeing quite a decrease in temperatures. Typically, when I'm going up the pass, I would see temperatures as high as 210 on the transmission, especially as I got closer to the top. I saw a massive improvement in the temperatures and cooling. At no point was the engine cooling impacted. It was running normal. And then the trans cooling was greatly improved. At no point did the transmission exceed 210 degrees, even with heavy running on trails off-road. Start off at Gold Dome, and we were going to head our way south through the Mojave Road. Gold Dome is one of my favorite spots, and the trails that I have mapped out there through all the mines are some of the fastest and most funnest trails out there. We run through an old burn scar area.
I lost complete power to the truck.
Oh shit.
And it said trailer is swaying.
Oh yeah, yeah, trailer sway control.
I had to look in my rearview mirror to make sure I wasn't pulling my boat.
Trailer sway control, it does that, dude. Dude, it's been 4 years. 4 years.
Never happened before.
It's been 4 years since the fire, dude, and they still haven't fixed that power line.
I know. That was funny.
Dude, we're getting through this like in no time, man. Dude, that road was fun. I've never had it that smooth than with this fucking kit, dude. Holy shit, that was cool. And we run through a couple of the old cinder mines out there, ending up on the actual Mojave Road through the Afton Canyon area. And I'm happy to report, guys, I had no overheating issues whatsoever. The transmission stayed cool the whole time, despite pushing it a few times in a little bit higher temperatures. It was nice. It was nice not to have any issues. But it wasn't all perfect, right? The Mishimoto oil cooler developed a leak, and it was not an easy process to get it replaced. Now, I picked Mishimoto because of their warranty, right? But the process to get my cooler was just bad. Over it in the next video, along with some more stress testing of the system as we take the truck and climb Cerro Gordo in Death Valley in a proper stress test of the whole system. All right, let's go over everything that you need just for the transmission cooler, because that's really the focus of this video, and all the lines. Now, if you wanted to do this cooler retails for $437 from Mishimoto, plus tax and shipping. Currently on sale as of the making of this video for under $400, and it is the largest oil cooler that they make. Obviously, you could do other options, but this is a pretty good option considering how it's built. From there, you need to redo all the hoses, and I do highly recommend, even if you don't upgrade your coolers, definitely redo the hoses in some way or another, because those will fail. To actually redo the hoses, you're going to need the adapter for the transmission to take it from the transmission to an AN fitting, -8 in this case. That little adapter alone is $170 shipped. It's $127 for the part itself, but depending on shipping tax, it goes up from there. From there, you need 90-degree fittings to come out of that fitting and go into a -8 hose. You're gonna need about 10 to 15 feet of hose, 2 of them. So total about 30 to 40 feet. And then that's gonna come back to 180-degree fittings on each side of this. These are -8 as well, -8 tube to -8 AN. And then you need a -10 adapter to go to -10 female to -8 male. Now you need about 2 of everything except for the adapter at the bottom and the cooler. You only need 1 of those. And if you were to try to build this whole solution, just the cooler, with the lines only, you're looking at almost $1,000. It's pretty expensive. HM ended up actually, they have their own source. I think he used 4-wheel parts, which was part of Off-Road Warehouse. Unfortunately, they're not on their website, so I can't link those because not every 4-wheel parts used to be in Off-Road Warehouse that had the hose fittings and all that stuff. So definitely look for options to sort this stuff locally. I'm going to put a full parts list of everything that we use below. Lethal Performance is probably your best option for the adapter, but everything else, try to find a local source that's a little bit cheaper because these fittings got pretty expensive. Now, as far as the cost of the overall solution, we're going to go over that in the next video when we do a full stress test of the system as we climb Cerro Gordo and really try to overheat this transmission. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Again, come back next week as we finish the solution and get everything powder coated and we'll put it through a proper test going up Cerro Gordo. Questions or comments below. Please consider subscribing and thank you for watching on a rainy day. It never rains at Cali. What the hell? Of course it rains when I'm trying to film.